What's going on, guys? BlackBusterCritic here. About to give you some Blockbuster insight. Why? Because a lot of you guys were sending me messages regarding my last video, the My Store, My Story Organized Crime Gets Prison Time video. You guys were asking me, hey Blackbuster, that's not your merchandise, that's Blockbuster's merchandise. Why do you guys care so much if someone steals it? Blockbuster's going to write it off as a loss and just go on their way. No, that's not how it works at Blockbuster. There's a very good reason why it's in every employee's interest to stop as much theft and robberies as much as possible, because it affects every single person that works at that store. And I'm going to explain to you how and why. Firstly, as you guys might have already known, when something gets stolen, the company writes it off as a loss. But Blockbuster wants to make that money back from that loss. And they use the one thing that they can exploit that's going to cost them no money. And that's the employees that work at the store that the loss was made. How do they do that? They take the number of hours given to the employees to make up for the loss. For those who might not have had a job yet or worked in retail yet or probably haven't had a management position to know about scheduling and such, but every week you are given a certain amount of hours, and within those hours, that's how you make your schedule as to who can work what days for how long. And what Blockbuster would do, they would squander those hours. Squander them to make up for the loss. And what that means for the employees is that they work less during the week, they have shorter shifts, which means less money. And it all snowballs into one final thing that makes it just terrible. And that's that we have to do the same amount of work with a lot less help in a shorter amount of time. And the tasks at Blockbuster weren't easy, people. These are some time-consuming tasks. We have to check out all the customers, with certain days being the really busy days, Sunday, Tuesday, and the weekends. And whatever day it rains, when it rains, everyone comes in to rent a movie. We have to check out all the customers, even on the busy days, with less help. We have to still check all the movies that come back in the Dropbox, open it up, make sure the right disc is in there, close it back up, lock it, scan it in, put it up on the cart. Well, we weren't allowed to use the carts at the time. Stack it up, and it has to all be back on the shelves. And you have to have someone that's out there running the movies. And while they're out there running the movies, they have to help the customers. We also have to watch the shoplifters. We also have to vacuum the store, clean the windows, clean the counters, make sure that's all clean. Every week, Blockbuster sends you tons and tons of lists of movies that need to be shipped back to distribution, shipped to this store, shipped to that store. Lists of movies that have to be taken off the rental shelves, strip the rental sticker off, scanned into the system, transfer it over to a used movie for sale. Okay, make a new label, put the label on there, put a price on there, check all the prices. They send you lists every week to reprice tons and tons of things. You have 100 movies out there that need to be found and repriced. And that's not the end of it. That is not the end of it. We get receiving. Delivery guy comes in, drops off like 9 boxes, most of them containing tons and tons of movies that are going to come out next week that need to be prepped. It's a lot of work. And when you only have just one other person each night to help you do all that work, it's stressful. And it's just nauseatingly bad. It's ridiculous. It really is. Ask any Blockbuster employee. Anyone that has a busy store, one that made as much cash as ours, it's hell. It really is. But you know who it affects the most? The store manager. Because Blockbuster cleverly made store managers work for free. You know, they're only paid 40 hours a week, but they're still required to work more than those 40 hours. That's how the store manager position is set up. They're allowed to work more than their 40 hours, more than the amount of hours that they get paid. But they do that because they're the only ones available to work more than they're scheduled without taking up more hours on the schedule, which means they don't get in trouble. And I loved my store manager. So you know what BlackBusterCritic did when he worked at BlockBuster? Not a lot of people knew this. A few people that worked at the store knew this, but I'm going to tell you guys right now. I have worked tons and tons of hours off the clock. Yeah, I worked off the clock. Why? Because I loved everyone that worked at that store. Even though a few people annoyed me, I wanted to make sure when they came into work, they came into an environment that was less stressful. I would always close, so I would always set the alarm, lock the door, do all the closing stuff, you know, if I was going to leave the store the way it was. And I would let my employee drive off, or I would take my employee home for those who didn't have like the right transportation. I'd come back to the store and work 2 or 3 more hours for free. Because I didn't want everyone to be stressed out, because when you're working with less hours, but you still have to do the same amount of work with less help, tensions run high. And the overall morale of the store goes down. Sacrifices are made. We won't vacuum the floor. We won't clean the windows. The store appearance goes down. And it all snowballs. All because someone stole from our store and BlockBuster wants to make that money back from their employees. It's disgusting. It really is disgusting. I just wish those douchebags at the corporate office would work an entire week and do what the store employees have to do. And the worst part about it is that you get paid less because you work less. There's a big difference between me working 5 days a week, 8-hour shifts, going to 3 days a week with only 6-hour shifts. That's a big difference in pay. So I hope you guys understand why a BlockBuster employee would want to stop as much theft as possible. It's not because we want to be heroes. It's not because we want to, you know, maybe get a oh, they saw what I did, hopefully I get a bonus. No, it's nothing like that. It's because we want to work next week. We want our pay to be the same next week. We don't want everyone to be stressed out having to do tons of work with less help. That's why. Just a little BlockBuster insight as to how the company screws over their own employees. But it's not just BlockBuster that does it. I'm sure tons and tons of other store corporations do this as well. Excuse me. Had some pizza earlier. But it sucks. Regardless of wherever you work, when that sort of thing happens, it sucks. Well, I hope you guys found this video interesting. Whenever there's a certain question you guys have, you know, just leave it as a comment or leave it as a private message. If I notice it, and it's a good question, I'll make a video like this. Because I think it's something everyone should know. You know, it's a fun thing to know, I guess. Anyway, that's all I got for now. I'll see you guys later.